Hey everyone, how are you? Monica Bodirsky here, artist and author of the Shadowland Tarot, Shadowland Lenormand, and Between the Worlds Oracle coming in another year or so. You know, I've had the good fortune to have many different jobs and many different iterations of creativity, everything from creating jewelry to being a history program coordinator at an Indigenous community center to teaching at a local art and design university. So I've met many people, and I am very grateful for that because this is a difficult time of year. And I say that in all honesty because 5 years ago, my brother passed away. And for all of you out there who've lost a loved one, it doesn't really matter what time of year it is, but it seems that in the Northern Hemisphere, when all the leaves are falling and things are dying, there's a particular, I don't know, poignance to loss as well, and grief and dying. Subjects that we don't really talk about, and I found it doesn't matter whom I'm speaking to, what culture, what age, what gender, that people have a really hard time, not just with grief, but with the fact that we've sanitized the process so much. You know, the life cycle of birth, same thing. We've taken away many midwives and sanitized the birthing process, though I know many women have done their own home births, have a midwife, but I'm speaking as a North American and society as a whole. We like to think of things behind closed doors, just seems to keep people from excessive things like emotion. Not that healthy, though. And the same thing with death and dying. We don't want to make other people feel bad. We don't want them uncomfortable. We don't want all of that. And yet, it's such a natural part of life, death, that I don't really feel that going from a society that used to put loved ones at rest in the parlor for viewing for people to come by and visit to tucking folks away in long-term care facilities and other places and just being informed of people passing. And then, perhaps, and I am certainly not knocking the industry of funeral homes, I am speaking about us as a society wanting to people rather to look as though they're sleeping as opposed to having passed away or died. We just seem to avoid all of it. And what it's left us is with very few coping skills, I think, and kind of helpless and floundering when death does occur. We are shocked rather than prepared, and we're left to our own devices, although there's a lot of psychiatric help out there, and thankfully some death cafes where people can speak openly and circles where people can share grief. Still, it's not really addressing our inability to deal with grief and grieving. So this time of year really brings that about for me, and I think for many people, even without the actual loss of a family member or loved one. To all of you out there who have lost a loved one, I would like to light this candle in remembrance of that loved one and wish you well in your ability to deal with that. There is support out there, and for anyone who needs it, please don't hesitate to look online for those supports, difficult as it is to discuss. Even with friends, family, and loved ones, sometimes we just suppress these feelings because we're given the impression we should just either get on with it or take a pill for it. I would like to suggest an alternative of sharing with trusted friends and family and just doing the difficult thing and bringing up those conversations. And I know many of you already have, and I applaud you for that. I would also like to use my cards here and just pull a couple of cards at random to see what they are suggesting about grief, death, and dying, and say, what does grief teach us? Now, it teaches us many things, and this is just one card and one point of view. It's not meant to be definitive, but I do ask the universe to share what this lesson of grief and of grieving this time of year is teaching us. And I have received, let me just hold that up a little bit closer for you, without the candlelight perhaps directly under it. It is the Ace of Wands, and that's interesting. That's the beginning, isn't it? That card is saying it's the beginning of a journey. It's a beginning of growth, of discovering a new aspect of yourself perhaps you weren't aware of before. It is an area to explore as the beginning of a new energy, a new form of energy. And I guess that's what we do. We just shift our molecules around and take different forms and different shapes. I think that doesn't take away from the fact that we're human and we just miss our loved ones and we miss the physicality of being. Even though I have a strong witchcraft practice, earth-based spirituality, I do have faith. I have faith in my ability to get through these things. I have faith in my friends and loved ones and faith in my ancestors for supporting me. It's still ultimately a very lonely and difficult journey. And this card pulled at random, and by the way, I pulled this same card earlier and shuffled. It's a strong message from the universe that it's the beginning of energy. It's just the beginning. And I think that is a way to get through those dark moments of feeling that we can't see our way out of a situation. Maybe remember the Ace of Wands and that you're just at the beginning of a journey, no matter what form that takes or whether you're grieving. I wish you all peace and love, and sit well with your ancestors, relatives, and loved ones who are no longer here this time of year, and maybe light a candle in their honor and remember them.